With a name like Berserk, you can best believe that he's excited to get in with Khorne against the Tomb Kings, at least I would imagine. It's an interesting matchup, definitely. Interesting, I should say. It's a matchup that I had heard in the past, might have been Tomb Kings favored. In my own experience, after Skarbrand, the player, not the character, showed me a build, I definitely think that Khorne can do quite a bit here that the Tomb Kings potentially have a hard time with. But this time, Calamity trying to go with all mobility on the Tomb Kings. He's got Cetra the Imperishable, some Nehekara Horsemen, Sphinx of Usek here. He's got some Archer Chariots and Archer Cavalry, so looking to do some mobile skirmishing here with whatever he can. Right now, up front, Berserk has got some Marauders. Their shields should help resist some damage. Bloodwake Berserkers as well, and then a couple of Blood Reapers, so plenty of small entity stopping power there. Skull Crushers. And we have the Heralds of Khorne's Fury Blood Crushers, so anti-infantry and anti-large, cavalry elites, plus some Furies up in the sky. And let's see. Quick hit and run charge, perhaps from the Tomb King's chariots. Initially, they are going to get a pretty good impact into this light infantry, but immediately countercharged by some nasty heavy cavalry. And you can see that the chariots, many models immediately inundated and taken out here. The Skeleton Horseman going to screen for them. That's not going to go particularly well for them. But yeah, we'll see Incantation of Vengeance trying to do some damage here with magic. Of course, the magic resistance, spell resistance of Khorne will help resist some of that damage. Not going to be as efficient as in other matchups. Sphinx of Usek also having a tough time getting up the hill here to this engagement on Toothgrass Hill, where all these elite Khorne cavalry are. Especially with the Bloodwake Berserkers. Without support, the Sphinx is going to have a very, very tough time in that engagement. Not to mention 3v1 single entity fight with the Bloodwake Berserkers and the Heralds of Khorne's Fury all mixed together. That is a potential for disaster. So, wisely, Sphinx of Usek is going to pull away there. Cetra also not staying in melee for too long. Let's try and cycle charge as much as possible with this kind of mobility build. But Khorne's very strong mobility counteracting here. So happy that Blood Crushers are a unit worthy of taking in many matchups. Yeah, they are such a cool unit. Their beautifully red armor gleaming in the sun. They're gonna chase Cetra here, try and harvest him for parts. Yeah, he does manage to get away there. And once again, Khorne looking to try and get some good engagements, but Berserk not overextending, kind of pulling everything back, making sure he keeps things together, making sure he keeps the Marauders absorbing as much of the damage as possible while allowing other units to get in and get work done. That, of course, Incantation of Vengeance does have a speed component as well, so let's see these Blood Crushers, or Skull Crushers rather, able to get downhill fast enough. Their charge animation's pretty fast, especially with the bonus of the slope. They do manage to get in contact here with some of these chariots, despite Cetra trying to catch a few of their unimodels. Sphinx of Usek also managed to catch a couple. The unit gets quite strung out here. Actually, is going to end up pulling back a little bit, taking some damage. But all the rest then can follow up, right? Pull these horsemen, Cetra, the Sphinx, all into unfavorable engagements. And so we see there the Blood Crushers, Skull Crushers charging once again. Sphinx of Usek gets a little bit surrounded here. Valkia and the two Blood Reapers, all 3v1. Great armor-piercing damage. Valkia, especially with that anti-large, it's going to be a tough time. Yeah, Sphinx of Usek on fire. Diminished, taking hits from the Bloodwake Berserkers as well. Struggling to pull away there. And yeah, I mean, the speed of the Skull Crushers and the Blood Crushers here. The speed and their charge speed in particular, once they get in range to proc that charge animation, I think their charge speed is probably somewhere in the range of like 90 plus, I want to say. I don't actually know, but just, you know, kind of estimating here. Wouldn't be surprised if it was somewhere in that ballpark, but here, yeah, Horseman once again being thrown in as a screen. Not really going to do much in the way of damage, maybe a tiny little bit here, but mostly just trying to get units away, or at least allow the Sphinx and Cetra to fight a little bit here. The Sphinx honestly could get a melee attack order, maybe take a couple swings there now that he's not, you know, fully surrounded. Of course, that didn't last very long, and now he is once again fully surrounded by the Heralds, which they actually have a weakness to fire constant which is another factor to consider here. They took quite a bit of damage in that engagement. Looks like they're not gonna, they're actually gonna nope out of that. It's something to consider. Sphinx Vusek normally has some fire resistance, and of course Cetra has do all Tomb King's lords other than Atep. He is weak to fire himself, baseline, so stacking that with the Heralds of Khorne's Fury definitely makes a lot of sense. That said, they are quite tired. That Vigor debuff is getting pretty spectacular at this point. Another Incantation of Vengeance as well, trying to do whatever damage you can. Get those Heralds off the field. Get that extra fire damage gone. Because a lot of the Khorne units, especially the elites, pretty much all do fire damage, right? Skull Crushers do not, but all the single entity characters do. The Heralds themselves do. Bloodwake Berserkers, I believe, do as well. Yep, so much fire damage synergy from that extra weakness to fire. Sphinx Vusek falls, surrounded by the brutal Berserkers of Khorne. And at this point, the Chariots standing off shooting, using whatever ammunition they can at this point, but the DPS is going to be pretty low. We'll fast forward a little bit as Berserk holds the high ground. He's going to allow Calamity here to expend the rest of his ammunition, all while kind of running some disruption with the horsemen and whatnot. Incantation of Vengeance, and Cetra dives in. Maybe we'll get a break on these Furies, but even still, in the process, loses the horsemen. And now the horsemen and the chariots are going to charge in. There is quite a mass of them. But Bloodwake Berserkers, I mean, not even a single unit model has been killed yet. They also have pretty good mass for infantry, 400. I think, I mean, even like, what, I think Big Inser is something like 180, 220, something like that. So yeah, it's absolutely insane mass. They're definitely not going to get knocked over super easily. Even there, the horsemen may be able to knock over a couple, but as soon as they stand up, start getting their attacks, which they do pretty quickly, horsemen are just going to take such extreme damage. Yeah, the chariots come through once more, and with a downhill charge bonus, they're able to send some of those Bloodwakes flying a pretty good distance, but again, the damage is not really going to be that impressive, and as soon as the Bloodwakes start swinging, those chariots get destroyed in a big hurry. Yeah, you can see just left and right dirt popping and the chariots exploding. Etc. Gonna throw down another Incantation of Vengeance, this time on the Bloodwakes themselves. It's actually ended up reasonably close, other than Valkia and the 3 single entities, and the Bloodwakes all being very, very healthy still. Yeah, anything that charges into them, you can see the Bloodwakes are taking damage over time, definitely, but they're doing so much damage in return. And of course, no damage is being done to any of the single entities. No surprises. Berserk able to take the win and even out the series on a 1-1. If you did miss game 1 of the series, be sure to check my last video. But yeah, victory for Khorne over the Tomb Kings. Like I said, I really like Khorne in this matchup right now. They have so much going for them between the fire damage, superior combat stats, even though it's a matchup where you can get outnumbered pretty significantly, because the quality disparity is so extreme, especially from an infantry's perspective. The Khorne can really just dominate through face rolling, which feels maybe appropriate. I don't know. You do have to kind of be judicious about what build you bring and kind of think about, like, in that way. But Berserk here actually getting it done with no Minotaurs, which is interesting, nice to see. Instead, bring the anti-large and skull crushers here. Bloodwakes able to clean up massive amounts of damage alongside those single entities in the late game. And yeah, for Calamity here, I mean, Cetra definitely got as much work as he possibly could done. Some of the horsemen did okay. Largely, they did nothing, though. Same with the skeleton chariots. I mean, I get why you bring them on the one hand. On the other hand, yeah, they're not great, in my opinion, as are most chariots right now. But it is what it is. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.